In this episode of the Carver Boat Project, I do a bunch of woodworking and pretend to know what I'm doing and rebuild this transom so I can start to put some structure and wood back into the boat versus just taking it out. Stick around and see how it comes together. Here's my rough layout of the boards for the transom. I got this nice, this is about 9 or 10 inches wide here. And it's not milled down, so it'll probably end up being about 8.5, 9 inches milled there. My goal is, so you can see here, that red paint was the bottom paint. So theoretically, that's about where the water line is. And my goal is that that 9 inches will come up to about here. So actually, I won't have a glue seam or a seam in the boards below the water line. It'll just be a single piece of wood there. So hopefully that's a good thing. I'm not sure. I actually have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm trying to be thoughtful. All in all, I think this is going pretty well. I don't have the biggest jointer or planer or table saw, so but I think I'm getting some pretty nice joints here that should be pretty straightforward to glue up. I think I am going to borrow the domino from work though, just to make alignment real nice and easy and make this not stressful, because this is going to be it's a lot of surface area. I'm going to require a lot of clamps to get this nice and flat. This is my dry fit for the glue up. I think I got everything pretty well ready. All my dominoes cut, clamps ready, cawls ready, top clamps ready, so this is going to be a little bit stressful because there's a lot of pieces, but everything, all the joints and everything came together pretty nice. So I don't know, the color pattern's a little, you know, it'd be nice if these middle boards here were a little bit darker, but I think once I get some varnish on it, it's gonna look real nice. Probably not gonna film the glue up because it's stressful enough as it is, and I'm a little bit superstitious about it, so catch you on the other side. There it is. It was as stressful as I expected, but got it all together. It's pretty flat. This bottom board is tailing off a little bit. I got the clamp calls on there to try to flatten it out, but overall not too bad. Laying the straight edge across there, so should be good enough for a boat. Here is the transom blank all glued and sanded and cleaned up. So this is the face that I intend to use for the rear. So this will be the visible surface. I'm just still kicking myself for the placement of those two kind of blonder planks, but it is what it is at this point. And next step will be to lift this thing up there and position it and trace out a rough shape just to make sure I'm not missing anything there. You have the transom up there on top of the blank. Right now I'm just going to do a quick trace of the outline just so I have a pretty good idea of this is where I want it. I think I want it. And I just want to lay it out there, take the old transom back off and just take a look and make sure I'm not missing anything on the layout. Next up, I do need to get some more mahogany though. I'm going to probably just get some 4/4 stuff to build the backing pieces, the new backing pieces for this transom. I was planning to try to reuse some of this, but I think I'm going to keep this together as one piece for now, and I'll figure out other places in the boat to repurpose some of that wood for rebuilding some of the seat bases and stuff. But the reason I want to keep that together is, and the reason I'm going to wait to cut this, you'd think, you know, maybe I just cut this, trace it, and then cut it out with a jigsaw. But we actually have a angle, bevel all the way around, so there's, and it actually changes. So what I'm going to need to do is I have this handy little bevel gauge here, and what we do is we'll actually take the angle for each plank on the transom, and then we'll adjust the circular saw probably. That's what we'll have to use to cut that angle into both the transom and then also the supporting members there. So here we have the bevel gauge set on the lowest, what would be the flat bottom planks of the boat. But then as we come around, it's still pretty tight, but then the angle starts to slowly change until we go up the side, and then we actually have a much flatter profile coming up. So that'll be something that I'm going to be taking the angles off of the old transom, and then also probably doing a little bit of a template on the hull, just to kind of check some things and try to keep those gaps as small as possible and that angle as close as possible to the hull as it changes. Now this is a 4/4 mahogany that I'm using to create the backing support for the transom. The next step for this stuff is to get it all squared up in the jointer and then rip the width. In process of milling up the mahogany for the backing support of the transom. intended to make it a little bit thicker, and if I could channel my inner Nicole Byer, I'd say nailed it. So what I'm doing here, so I have traced the original transom onto this blank, and then I've oversized or offset that line by 1 inch. Basically, what I'm trying to do here is trim this piece down so I can flip it over and lay out all of the backing support and start pre-drilling and getting that ready. And then also practicing taking the angle of the original transom, applying that to the circular saw, and then taking those cuts, just so I can build a little bit of confidence when going to cut the blank closer to the line. I do want to attach the backing support, all those pieces milled up to this main transom blank prior to cutting it, so that way my cuts are done once and everything's in plane and really nice and clean, and then I can kind of just clean up each of those faces with a block plane or something. There is the rough cut of the blank. So you can see I left the outside 1 inch or so. Overall, I'd say that went pretty well. I accomplished what I wanted to. I might build a larger base plate for the circular saw just so I can have a better, more surface area, just so I can keep the reference angle really nice. The other thing I was doing here while for this exercise was kind of making a little bit of a storyboard here. So as I was taking the angles off the old transom, I'm marking them on the board here so that way I can just pick up the angles from here rather than having to go back to the old transom and hopefully be able to keep everything nice and consistent. So next up, I'm gonna flip this guy over and then start attaching laying out and attaching the back supports. That is going to do it for this episode. This is going to be part 1 of the transom rebuild. You can see I've got all the backing framing temporarily fastened to the transom blank. The next episode, my goal will be to cut this to shape, test fit it in the boat, and then permanently fix all this framing to the blank with some epoxy and start prepping it for installation. So stick around and watch it all come together. If you haven't, please like, subscribe, and hit the little notification bell so you can be notified of future episodes. Thanks for watching.